Hello everybody, my name is Franki Hernandez and this is my presentation on His Hawaiian Excellency, pages 147 through 193 by Niklaus R. Schweitzer. On the first slide, I have compiled a list of the people who were loyal to Queen Liliuokalani during these pages. So on the left, we have a list of loyalists who are Hawaiian subjects, and on the right we have two foreign allies, one representing Japan and the other representing Britain. On the next page, I list the Judas, like Judas from the Roman Empire. On our left, we have the Hawaiian Royal Minister Cabinet. I placed them here because they were the ones that said they did not feel comfortable going through with the Constitution. So they created the space and the time for the illegal overthrow to happen. On the right, we have the Americans. So we have the United States Minister Resident in Honolulu, John L. Stevens, and he's the one that gets in cahoots with the captain on the USS Boston and essentially strong arms Queen Liliuokalani into yielding her power to the United States. On this page, we have a picture of the Annexation Club of Honolulu. These were the men who made it up. Not all of these men ended up being on the safety committee and vice versa. Next, I have the list of the safety committee members. On the left, we have a list of all of the members who were born in Hawaii or they were naturalized citizens of the Kingdom of Hawaii. On the right-hand side, we have the list of the foreign annexationists. So essentially, these were all of the people who had not become naturalized citizens, but were living in the Hawaii, making money here, and wanted to have a say in the government, or more so of a say, just like the annexationists who were born in Hawaii. On the next page, we're going to go through these locations. First, there's the ceremony and celebration of Queen Liliuokalani's 100th birthday at Mauna Ala. Then we have Iolani Palace, Ali'iolani Hale, and the USS Boston. Then we're going to go to the Royal Household Guard inspection. After that, we'll take a look at the throne room and the meeting that took place there, as well as the birth of the Committee of Safety. And then lastly, we'll have a quick look at the conversation between two American soldiers. So here we have the ceremony and celebration of Queen Liliuokalani's 100th birthday party at Mauna Ala. Iaukea finds himself reminiscing about different events which occurred during his 55-year career while attending the celebration. First, he daydreams about King Kalakaua's death. Then, he has a flashback to 1887 when he was on the mission to Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee with the Hawaiian monarchy. After that, it quickly is a quick flash and kind of a question of what happened to Tanya. The same Tanya that they met in Russia and Henry Poor fell in love with. This scene, Henry says that he sees her again after 30-some years of not being in contact with her. But he describes her as just walking off into the distance and disappearing, which kind of alludes to the fact that she might have been executed and killed, but we don't actually find out. Next is kind of Iaukea explaining what the Hui Aloha Aina league is. It's the Patriotic League. Iaukea admires Joseph Navahi's actions, who he remains loyal to the queen even after the illegal overthrow, and he never settles for anything other than that. Like, he maintains his honor and dignity, whereas Iaukea finds himself working for the new regime. Our next scene is Iolani Palace, which the queen travels from to Ali'iolani Hale across the street and gives her speech on the cusp of the USS Boston pulling back into port. Queen Liliuokalani gave a speech at Iolani Hale, during which she announces that she will be promulgating a new constitution immediately to replace the Bayonet Constitution of 1887. Today she would not flinch, but risk everything she had. It was her last and ultimate opportunity to keep Hawaii for Hawaiians, to save a people who tolerated, indeed welcomed, the peaceful and cooperative presence of newcomers, but who refused to submit to outright colonization, a fate suffered by too many other archipelagos in the Pacific. Nobody and nothing would stop her now, not even the unexpected presence of a powerful naval vessel. The USS Boston was key in the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy, because without it, the Safety Committee would have never executed their plan, because they didn't have the firepower. After she has her speech, Queen Liliuokalani returns to the palace, and before she does, we kind of get a little snippet of the Royal House guards talking to each other. And it's basically one guard, Kimu, and the other guard, Williamu, talking and kind of like trying to come to the realization that America is not their friend and that this is really serious. And once Kimu helps Williamu understand that, there's a quote that describes these soldiers' essence. They all seemed to grow taller, caught by the fighting spirit of their forefathers, who a century ago had helped the great King Kamehameha conquer one island after the other. Some of them descend from the vanquished, who with equal valor had struggled to oppose the indomitable chief. The same warrior blood raced through their veins, and there was not a single soldier who would not have sacrificed his life for queen and country. The queen returns to the palace after she gave her speech. There are diplomats, government officials, legislatures, a number of delegations of Hui Kalai'aina. There are both princes, Governor Cleghorn, and then Chief Justice Judd, all assembled in the throne room waiting to be addressed by the queen. She comes in after 2 hours. Everyone's on edge, and she greets them as such. The new Constitution corrects these deficiencies and restores those civic rights and privileges of which my people have been deprived of for almost 6 years. However, I'm sorry to report to you that a difficulty has arisen which we could not have foreseen. My ministers are pleased to cultivate a nice disposition, so nice, in fact, that they indulge in the luxury of having discovered a few minor ambiguities. She paused and cast a look at 4 officials who seemed to really sink to the floor. These gentlemen have endeavored to persuade me that the promulgation of the Constitution be postponed. And after Queen Liliuokalani said this, the entire mood of that room just dropped. Iaukea described it as like his na'au hurting, his stomach hurting. He was just sad. It was the first time that there was kind of this doubt that we might not succeed. While the throne room meeting is taking place, there's also this meeting taking place at William O. Smith's law office just a few blocks west of the palace. There's actually, it's a group of annexationists, and out of this meeting there is this birth of the Committee of Safety None of these men really like each other, but they hate the monarchy more, and so they come together. During this meeting, it's almost smushed out because they were questioning how Thurston was going to get the gunpowder to execute the plan of overthrowing the monarchy. And all of a sudden, he realizes that the USS Boston is outside and that it can be done. And so the men decide to create a committee of safety, which is what they would disguise the committee to overthrow the Hawaiian monarchy. Dole is a key player. Thurston knows this. He knows that Dole's support was critical. If Dole decided to remain loyal to the throne, the committee would have a tough time. Everything might come to naught. In fact, Dole exceeded in importance the entire committee put together. And so what this meant was that Thurston knew it was his responsibility to convince Dole to come on their side. And in this chapter, Dole is still on the side of the fence that is against annexing Hawaii. He doesn't believe it's just or that it's the right thing to do. We're going to take a little closer look at Thurston's character. He was the brains behind the illegal overthrow. Without him, it is highly unlikely that this would have occurred. He describes, he's kind of a narcissist. He has a deep hatred of Kanaka. He describes, like, them as being savages and having kahuna sorcery and just destroying this heathen monarchy. He thinks that these white men are the Christian element and that they have to take the helm in order to begin to establish law and order in the lands. But that's not true. The last scene we see is a conversation between two American soldiers. They're actually sleeping across the street from the palace at Arian Hall. These two soldiers can see the palace from where they're laying down, and they really begin to question why they're doing this. And you can see this in the quotes, and it ends with Deck Petty Officer Singleton saying, "Yes, Hawaii was the land of love, certainly not war." Here is a map. So here's Iolani Palace. Here is Ali'iolani Hale. Here's Arian Hall, where the soldiers are sleeping across the street from the Queen's Palace. Here, just 2 to 3 blocks away, is W.O. Smith Law Office, where the annexationists meet. And we're going to move on. The comparisons I wanted to talk about was that there was still this theme of viewing Native Polynesians and specifically Native Hawaiians as savages in this book. We have 2 quotes from Thurston. The first one is, in his mind, he already saw the statue of Kamehameha, the savage potente, replaced by a sculpting of his own likeness. So Thurston is wanting to replace the statue of Kamehameha and replace it with one of himself because he looks at him as a savage and less than. The next is, let us crush the relics of the vile past of benighted savages. That's self-explanatory. So just like in the book of Omai and Noa Noa, we have this view of the people of the Pacific being savages and less than. Next comparison is the Russia and Aloha Aina movement. Russians, like Hawaiians, view the Aina as a maternal figure, and therefore they consider it sacred and take care of it. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.